Welcome to another week of DanReallyLikesWine.com, and this week a grape that doesn't get nearly enough attention in South Africa, despite the fact that it's the one we make the most wine from. Chenin Blanc can be absolutely awful. There's a good chance you've had some Chenin, it's been of the slightly cheaper variety, and you've sworn blind you'll never try it again. And granted, some entry-level Chenin is best used for removing stains from septic tanks. It's really not great. But that's the exception, not the rule. Chenin Blanc, when made brilliantly, and it is so often in South Africa, is hard to beat. And so in 2017, I'm making it my mission, and I'll encourage it to make you yours as well, to drink a little bit more Chenin Blanc. And the four we have for you today are two entry levels and two that are a little higher up on the Chenin Blanc pecking order. The first of these is Perdeberg. Now, this isn't the top of their range. They make a very, very nice barrel fermented Chenin that's certainly a stronger wine, and they also make a rather nice blend, a Rousseau's blend that has a lot of Chenin in. But as a nice, simple, everyday drinking Chenin Blanc, I didn't think this is a bad one to start with. And it's also got a sticker featuring a friend of mine, Jenny Morris, who I used to work with on Cape Talk, who had the disconcerting habit of taking her shirt off while broadcasting and revealing a rather considerable pair of assets. She's also got a great palate, and if she thinks this is worth drinking, I'm certainly not going to argue. So light in colour, as Chenin can often be, and just that little touch of gold to it as well. Chenin Blanc, again, doesn't have the greatest reputation, and it's a very unfair one, that, so hopefully this can go a little way to changing it. And this is the kind of bottle that's not going to cost you very much money. It's one you can keep in the fridge, and you're home from a long day's work, and it's been a hard day in summer, and you just need something chilled and refreshing to take the edge off the day. This is your way to go. It does have a lot of fruit to it. It's a fairly intense wine. It's not a brilliant wine. It's not going to knock your socks off, but then it's not meant to. It's the vineyard selection, so it's down the bottom end of what they make. But for a wine that doesn't cost a lot and is designed to be one that's entry level, it more than does the job. And it also does what Chenin Blanc does so often that we just tend to forget. It just drinks really nicely. It's a big mouthful of wine, and it's in that space between Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay where you can still drink it just on its own, but it also holds its own against quite a lot of food. So a really nice balance, and yeah, a nice solid start to our Chenin selection. Now this is one of the coolest winemakers in the country at the moment. Adi is at the heart of the Swartland, and together with guys like Ibn Sadi, they're just making seriously cool wine and having an awful lot of fun doing it. These are the guys that are calling a lot of the shots in terms of style and fun and where our wine is going. This is not a terribly expensive wine. It's got a screw cap, which suggests it's not that expensive, although as we'll see with the Ken Forrester in a moment, that's nowhere near an indicator anymore. What it is though is just a really strong Chenin Blanc, and it's the kind of bottle that, because it doesn't cost too much, you can keep a couple of cases of in your cellar and just bring out on a regular basis. Doesn't break the bank and tastes spectacular. So again, it's very light in colour. It's almost got that slightly watered down pineapple juice look to it. It's not dark at all. That'll change if you age it a bit, and you certainly can age this wine, but it's also one that you can quite happily open now, which is just what I've done. Now, coincidentally, I mentioned the pineapple colour. There is that tropical fruit feel to it. It's just got a little bit more on the palate. It's quite full, and it's just really moorish. And the other thing about this wine, and in fact a lot of the wine that Adi Badenhorst makes, particularly under this Secateurs label, if you have a look at it on a wine list in a restaurant, it's probably going to be one of the better values, if not best value wine that you find on that list. Good wine at a great price. We like that at Dan Really Likes Wine. Then on to the Breedekloof Valley, just beneath the Dutoitskloof Mountains, and Bergsig. Again, an estate I discovered traversing the Cape with the Epic. And this is a place that makes some fantastic wine. One of my favourite discoveries of 2016 was the Icarus blends, and particularly the Icarus Red, which has got a Torrego Nacional base and a Portuguese-style red that just drank delightfully. If memory serves, we opened one bottle at a braai and finished the case by the time we were done. This is from the very same estate, and this is something they're justifiably very proud of indeed. It's a consistent 4.5-star platter attention getter. It is the Reserve Chenin Blanc. It's made with care, it's made with style, and it's a lovely, lovely wine. So this is a lovely place to visit. It's a beautiful part of the world. It's a little further out of Cape Town than some of your bigger and better known wine areas, but it's worth a trip for the scenery and for the wine, and it's incredibly well priced. It is excellent, excellent value, particularly when you're getting wine that, as you can see, has received so many accolades, and accolades that are well deserved. Now, when I poured the secateurs, I showed you the very light colour and suggested that would change with age. This is slightly older. It's a 2014, only 3 years older now, technically, as we're just into 2017. But already you can see it's that slightly darker colour, that slightly more golden hue, and that just comes with a bit of age. And that's something that Chenin Blanc really does welcome. Yes, you can drink it early on, that secateurs drank very nicely, but this, just a couple of years on, will have the chance to develop a little more character, a little more body, a little more feel, and the results are well worth waiting for. So that is another wine entirely. You can feel the oak coming through, you can feel the regal mouthful of wine. It's crying out for a really great meal. You want to pair this with something good and strong, and they'll have a fairly robust battle over the dinner table. It's got a deep, intense finish, and the golden look to it is reflected in that really rich feel of the wine. This is very, very special Chenin Blanc indeed, and it just reiterates what I said at the start. We don't drink enough of this because when it's made well, it's hard to beat, and whew, this is special. And so to the last of our Chenins. In South Africa, certain people are immediately associated with certain types of wine. With Beyers Trito, it's Pinotage. With Bubbles, it's Graham Beck. With Chenin Blanc, it is very definitely Ken Forrester. He makes some terrific wine all round. His Gypsy Red blend is exceptional. This is the white partner to that very top level range at Ken Forrester, the FMC. It's a year older than its predecessor, and it's made with some help from Martin Maynard, who also makes some terrific wine in Stellenbosch, and the combination probably makes this South Africa's flagship Chenin Blanc. So note that this has a screw cap. And I said earlier with the secateurs that the screw cap wasn't always an indicator of just how good or how expensive a wine was. This is Ken Forrester, a man who knows Chenin better than anyone, saying, "My finest Chenin Blanc is quite at home with a screw cap. It's happening around the world. The cork's got the romance and the history, but the screw cap really does tend to do a little more justice to wine in South Africa." So everything about this bottle says class. It's got a slightly ridged label. It's very minimalist, but it just looks classy, both front and back. Some great detail on exactly how the wine was made, where it was made. These are old bush vines, so there's plenty of history being poured into this bottle, as there is plenty of expertise. The Ken Forrester touch, creating something that's even more golden and slightly richer than that Bergsig. I've been keeping this bottle for a while. If I'm going to make good on my New Year's resolution of drinking more Chenin in 2017, I suspect Mr. Forrester is going to have a major role in that. That really makes every point I've been attempting to put forward over the course of this week's show. It is so rich, it is so opulent, it's just a stunning bottle of wine. It's been made, like the others, with lots of care and tenderness, but just with that special touch that Ken Forrester has with Chenin Blanc. The best of the grapes from those old bush vines, grapes that have proven themselves over time, and have certainly proved themselves with this particular wine. And it's drinking delightfully now. In fact, I very much doubt this bottle is going to see out the day. But the rest of the ones I have from this particular vintage, I'm going to put away because it's Chenin Blanc that deserves a little more time just to grow and to become something even more special. But it is magnificent, And what it says to me very, very vocally is that Chenin Blanc is a grape that deserves far more accolades and far more time than we currently give it. So during the course of 2017, have a look out for some Chenin Blanc, play around, experiment and enjoy some. These are 4 examples to have a look at, but there are plenty more to go in search of. It's one of my first New Year's resolutions. The other one next week is Merlot, a grape we tend to dismiss and patronize just a little. I think we should be drinking some more Merlot as well. We'll look at that next week. In the meantime, if you like the wine, nip over to danreallylikeswine.com and buy yourself a few bottles and start your Chenin journey of 2017. Cheers.